What up, folks? I'm Alex Pop, here with my currently untitled channel dedicated to all things Land Before Time. As you may have seen in my last video, I counted down my picks for the top 10 best episodes from the Land Before Time TV series. And while there were a bunch that I did find to be very good, there were also a few that didn't impress me so much. So, in this video, I'll be counting down my picks for the 10 that I felt did the least for me. Let me first clarify that because an episode is on this list doesn't necessarily mean that I think it's bad, but simply that it was one of the lesser of the TV series. So, with that said, here are my top 10 worst Land Before Time episodes. Starting it off at number 10 is Return to Hanging Rock. I think a lot of fans may have expected me to put this on the best list, and I actually did originally intend to. In this episode, Ruby ventures out to Hanging Rock to see her family, but only Ducky, Chomper, and Spike go with her. Why? Why couldn't the whole gang get to see her reunion? At any rate, despite the fact that Ruby does meet her family for the first time in over a year, I felt that some of the dialogue when she does meet them, I can't believe I'm saying this, I felt that some of the dialogue was a bit sappy. They did come with me anyway. It's almost like they're my family too. Oh yes, we are your Great Valley family. We are. Weak. Not to mention, they wrote another song to the tune of Legend of the Lone Dinosaur, a song that I have known for over a decade. They did that with at least 2 other songs from the movies. Please, Universal, if you do make a season 2, please stop doing this. I even remember you doing it to the song Big Water in The Hermit of Black Rock. I recall a lyric in which Petrie sings, "You know the tune, so sing along." Well, yeah, I know the tune, but how can I sing along when I don't know what the words are? Okay, sorry about that rant. Again, I don't think Return to Hanging Rock is bad. I just don't like it as much as most of the others. Number 9 on the list is The Search for the Sky Color Stones. I actually read a lot of comments from fans who said they liked this one because it revealed the dark side of Ducky. In this episode, the gang goes searching in caves for sky color stones, geodes that is, and we find out that the reason they're unable to find any is because Ducky has been hogging them all. When Sarah and Ruby find out, Ducky is angered, claiming that there's none for them to have. I give this episode credit for showing that everyone is some shade of gray, but Ducky being as selfish as this, it just doesn't feel right. I don't know, maybe I'm just so used to her good-natured side that it's just kind of hard for me to comprehend. And to be fair, Sarah and Ruby do seem about as surprised about it as I was. So do let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments. I don't know, I might take it off the list later. Moving on to number 8, and that is The Canyon of the Shiny Stones. The episode as a whole isn't outright terrible. There is a funny moment where Petrie compares Sarah's temper to an exploding volcano. It makes the list for 2 big reasons. The first is that it's the episode that uses the most CGI, and I'm not talking about like just background objects, I mean even the characters at times are computer generated. They did this occasionally in other episodes, but even in some scenes that aren't wide shots, they do this, and it's flat out obvious. I would say there's at least a minute and a half of CGI characters in this episode. The second big reason it makes number 8 is because it contains the absolute worst song in Land Before Time history, and it's called Oops Eeps. Oh, I shudder. Anyway, on to number 7, which is the Bright Circle Celebration. This one may add to the skeptical nature of Sarah and her dad, but other than that, there's really not much to it. There's no sense of adventure, and the moral of it all is just kind of whatever. So I can't say that it's horrible, but there's not enough there for it to escape the list. Coming in at number 6 is The Meadow of Jumping Water. Again, I can't say that it's bad. There's just not a whole lot to like. It doesn't make much sense either. The gang just ventures out into the mysterious beyond, only to prove to Sarah that geysers exist, which is probably the weakest reason yet for the gang to put themselves in potential peril. And Petrie discovers in this episode that there's no such thing as bad luck, which is kind of something that they learned already in The Secret of Source Rock. So that earns it the number 6 spot on the countdown. Falling down to number 5 is the Great Log Running Game. Once again, this one is just sort of there with not much to offer. I guess what places this one higher than the last two is one totally obvious continuity error. This takes place when Sarah is in the river headed for a waterfall. When is there not a waterfall in that situation? And in a 5-second scene, we see Sarah on shore instead of Spike, who is seen there after the next cut. It baffles me how nobody caught that. I noticed it on my first viewing of the episode. So again, this episode is just, well, Number 4, Days of Rising Water, in which a rainstorm destroys Petrie's home, forcing him and his family to move, the idea of which Petrie can't stand, but he has to deal with it. This storyline has been done to death in kids' TV, and to rest assured the 23-minute runtime this time, we have an unnecessary sequence where Petrie tries to find Petrie's snuggling stick, and a subplot that has no connection to Petrie's story, where Sarah tries to teach her stepsister how to swim. And really, the whole episode is just boring. So that's what earns it the number 4 slot on the countdown. Sitting at number 3 is Stranger from the Mysterious Above. This one is high on the list because there's little to no plot, message, entertainment value, or character development. It's basically just Spike gets trapped underground, the others try to get him out, and in the meantime, these prehistoric rodents confuse him for their legendary idol. And that's it. Lowering the bar even further, at number 2, is Through the Eyes of a Spike Tale, in which we're supposed to hear what Spike's thoughts are. But what's going on in this episode? Why does Spike hear nothing but grunting from the others? He doesn't seem to have a hard time understanding them any other time. Why does his vision have a purple tint? Why does he hear tree stars playing music? I guess this is supposed to explain why he's always focused on eating, but it just raises more questions than it answers. So I don't know what this episode was about. Let's just hope it was all a really bad joke. And the number 1 worst episode of the Land Before Time TV series is The Amazing Threehorn Girl. This one was bad. Like, Wisdom of Friends bad. It starts off with Littlefoot and the gang being chased by prehistoric crocodiles. Sarah gets separated from the pack, and she scares away the crocodiles by accidentally knocking over some boulders. Once she tells the others, somehow they take it to mean that she did it intentionally. And this is just glorious, phenomenal news, despite the fact that they have all scared away sharp teeth with rocks before. Yeah, rocks always seem to be the answer in these movies. But they have to get the word out, and before long, the Great Valley residents are hailing Sarah. What? And when Sarah tries to point out the truth that it wasn't on purpose, she's continually interrupted by, nah, she's just being modest. Sarah? Modest? And everyone in the Great Valley just has to keep coming back to hear the incredible story of somebody knocking down rocks. I mean, this is just fascinating, groundbreaking news. The whole universe must know. But what is Sarah going to do when those crocodiles come back around? Again, this is such a cliched storyline in kids' TV. Except here, it never even begins to make sense. Not to mention, the adults do all the songs in this episode, which never seems to be a good thing in this franchise. And the songs, like several others on the show, aren't really songs as much as they are conversations set to music. Bottom line, The Amazing Threehorn Girl definitely takes the prize as the worst of the Land Before Time TV series. So really though, it's just those top 2 that really get to me. None of the others, I think, are truly awful. And the show does have enough merit that I I would be looking forward to a second season, if it will ever be made. So what are some of your least favorites of the show? Leave a comment or make a video response, and be sure to check out my previous video on the best episodes from the TV series. That's a wrap for now. Subscribe for future videos and send me an idea for a channel/group name to my email. I will be announcing the winner in about a week and a half. This is the currently untitled Land Before Time channel, and I'm your host, Alex Pop. Catch you later.